Hello, everyone. I guess everyone gets on. We'll get rolling here in just a minute or two. Hope everybody had a good day. And this is the last part. So as everyone is getting on, we'll see what happens here. Let's see. We will give it about a couple minutes as to let people load on. And I hope this has been valuable. I'm going to let this be the last one. I'll be available for questions if anyone has questions along the way or whatever. But I think we got a good amount out today. I was going to go over some particular material with treatment and tracking and all of this, but I think we'll hold off on that. That's a lot for testing and all. We'll just capture it this in a summary. But as we load on, I want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. I hope you had a beautiful day, and you deserve it. Thank God for you. Amen. So this evening, this is part 4 for the coronavirus series, and I hope that this served to be, pretty good for everyone that it equipped you to be careful and do what we're supposed to do. And Lord willing, we will be winding up the series today, and this should do it. Again, Happy Mother's Day. The presentation can be found in the comments section of the live feed, and you'll see the part 4 for today, and we will walk through that. We hopefully, we don't know what will happen in the future with more information as we go, but for this, we will get moving right now. Again, the presentation, as you jump online here, you should be able to see it. Again, the same way you found the other ones in the comment section. It should be pinned there or on the Facebook Live page. But today, what I'm going to do today is just more or less of a wrap up and Q&A. So I'll say this to everyone right now. If you'd like, you have any specific questions, I would send those questions in right now. And again, I already told my wife, Happy Mother's Day today, Sister Tanya Sandridge. She is waiting already. And if you have questions, I'll do that because I'm going to do more of a wrap up today as opposed to diving into a lot of material, right? So again, the presentation can be found on the comment section on the page. So we're on page 1. Again, I have the very common looking page that's showing a picture of the cartoon of the coronavirus. And you can also see the scripture I refer to each time from Daniel, the 1st chapter, talking about the children of Israel when they were captured. Hey, they were in lockdown also, but the Lord said, hey, they understood science, and the Lord is the one who gives knowledge of this, right? So we thank God for that. And we're going to go to page 2 because, again, this is going to be a summary of what we've covered, okay? And then we'll have Q&A. So if you have questions, please send those now. The page 2 is the very familiar slide also showing the steps we need to take. We need to keep our hands washed, right? So don't lose that fervor. You got to catch yourself because sometimes, nothing's happened in a while. Hey, I don't have to wash my hands. Yeah, keep your hands washed. That's the very, very basic thing to do. And if possible, stay home. That's been working. Illinois today reported below 2,000 new infections detected for the first time in quite a while. Masks, as you can see, hey, we even the ministry, as we serve you at church or wherever we are, you'll see us wearing our masks. We're practicing social distancing also. And also, and the reason why we wear our mask, as you know now, hey, I may have the virus. I don't want to give it to you. You may have the virus. You don't want to give it to me. So we wear our masks to help protect each other, right? And plus, the infection can spread. We're going to the next page. This is page 3. I'm so sorry. Page 3. We did discuss a lot of myths and everything out here. And I want to take the time to just re-mention that by now we all should understand that there are a lot of funny sounding things out there about the virus. And if they sound funny, you should treat them that way. They probably are. If they sound far-fetched, they probably are. Then one of the new ones is this whole video that's going around with this particular doctor who's out, and she's, spreading information. If you do a little bit of research on her, you'll find out she's disgruntled. There's a specific set of experiments that she ran to try to disprove vaccines. She thought she was onto something. She ran some experiments and said, "Oh, look what I found." So she was asked, "Hey, repeat those experiments, and we, other scientists, will repeat those experiments." When they tried to, she or they could not reproduce what she's done. And she became, then a lot of things happened and all of this stuff. And, so she's creating a lot of controversy. Here's my take on all of that. This virus is for real. Okay. It's killing people for real. We need to do what we need to do. Those things like that become a distraction. Let them fight it out. Whatever. If she's real, it'll be found out. If she's false, whatever. Let us do our diligence to take care of what we need to, okay? That's my last take on this, okay? I don't want to get too bogged down. I actually don't spend a lot of time in a lot of controversial things. We just need to stay focused on protecting ourselves from this virus, okay? And, we talked about dark skin. That was early. I think that's thoroughly over. I think we all understand now that it has nothing to do with anything. You'll find coronavirus on the label of Lysol. There are a lot of coronaviruses. One of the viruses they cause the common cold is a type of coronavirus. Coronaviruses have been around for a long time. This is just a new strain, right? Okay, we're going to go to page 4. I talked about beyond the cough. I talked about some of the symptoms and things that people are experiencing, and they are rough. And then we talked about some of the things that people are experiencing after they so-called recover. Well, these symptoms and these diseases that are being caused in people from this virus, it's pretty rough. And my whole reason for mentioning this is to keep us diligent and say, you do not want to catch this virus. And, people who are older than 60, 60 and older, they're like, hey, yeah, you want to be careful. It doesn't bode well for you. And then now they're finding people in their 30s and 40s developing these blood clots. And boy, it's not pretty. So we just do not want to get infected by this virus. We're on our presentation. I'm moving to page 5. So what you want to do, let's go to the comment section, and the presentation is pinned there, and you can download it and follow us. We're on page 5. Then we talked about this whole notion of how are you feeling, right? We know it's long, and let me tell you all, let me level with you here. This is why those who are saved, we want to really tap into God and stay, keep our mind right? And then we want to help each other. Let's reach out to each other. Let's call each other. Let's stay in touch with each other, because this could take a while. I just want to tell us that, because without, I don't know about you, but I've been praying a whole lot that God just intervene, because I'll be honest, science is good, but they don't have the answers yet. Okay. So we need God to step in and show mercy on mankind, right? So this could take a while. Even with a vaccine, that could take a while, but really without a vaccine, hey, and who knows how long this will really take. So on this slide, we just depicted, the little red guy behind the bars feeling trapped. And we show you just don't want to, after a long time of staying in, the weather is breaking. What do we need to do? We need to help each other, take care of each other, and make sure you reach out if you need help, okay? Number two, some people are struggling still with, is this virus real or whatever? You got some populations of people who are out saying, let's just go back to work or whatever, because they're not as affected. So we need to follow what makes sense, okay? We need to stay very diligent and be very careful. Anxiety can kick in. And on this particular slide, I'm pointing us, let's talk to God. Let's keep God in first. He will help see us through this, okay? He's been faithful up to now. Of course, he'll be faithful all the way to the end. Isn't that right? Thank you. We're going to move to the next slide. And this one just showing us taking matters into our own hand. The disease processes that we're seeing in people of color, minority people, the disproportionate way that they're affected, this is not a coronavirus issue. Coronavirus is just is being used to show the issue that is there. That is lack of healthcare, lack of quality healthcare. Many of our people don't have jobs that even give them medical insurance. Many don't have cars, so they can't even go to, the data shows this, can't even get to a doctor's appointment. Many lack education, so they really, and I've seen this, which is why I do so much trying to help people on the side. The medical continuum, they talk to people as if, in 5-10 minutes, and they're throwing all this stuff at you, and it's lost in translation, and people really don't know what to do. It's really not good what we're experiencing. Then again, there's some parts of the population who have it all. They get great care. They have access to great food. Many of our people don't. Many people of color do not have access to great food and things like this. So it sets up these underlying diseases that we hear about, right? High blood pressure, stroke, diabetes, respiratory issues, and things like that. People who live around lots of rodents or cockroaches and everything develop these allergies, and they affect their lungs and things of that nature. And many of our people can't stay home because they have frontline jobs who they got to get out and go there and increase the risk of infection. Then many poor people, then they don't have their own house. So what do they have to do? They have 2 and 3 generations living in the house. One person gets sick. Now there's several people in there sick, including grandma and granddad. So, there are a lot of forces playing. It's more than just say, you should do better. It's more than that. This is age-old, disproportional, racial motivated, lopsided mistreatment that is being exposed by this virus. So some things we need to take in our hands. If we can help, hey, if you can see where you can eat better, if you can see where you can exercise, if you can see where you can make better choices to help fight some of these things, that's what we must do. And then, not only for yourself, can we reach and help someone else too? So we always keep our eyes and ears open to help someone, okay? All right, so we're gonna go on to the next slide, number 7. We talked about the disparity and all. So I left this slide in there for you to actually to help remind you of what we've talked about. So, and I do want to say there are additional symptoms that have been captured, by the medical community concerning this coronavirus. I'll tell you, loss of smell. If you notice, when you catch a cold, many times you'll say, well, I can't taste anything, right? Well, this is how that works. Most foods that we eat, we actually do not taste. You only can taste salt, sweet, sour, things of that nature, right? Sister Celia will tell you one umami. That's what you'll get from accent, for example, monosodium glutamate. We actually can taste that. Most of your spices and things of your food, you actually do not taste. You smell them. That's why when your nose is blocked, you can't taste, right? Well, this virus affects the nerve that controls smell, and therefore many people have lost their sense of smell, be it temporary. But if that's happening, so I'm mentioning all of these things to you to say this. Many people had a really bad flu, December, January, February. If you get a chance, what would be interesting if you can go get an antibody test to say, I wonder if I was exposed to that virus. Don't be surprised if your antibody test comes back positive that you actually have antibodies against this virus. There's probably more of us than we think. Just not a gigantic percentage, but more of a percent than we think that probably have already been exposed to this virus. So it would be interesting. Those are some of the things that are being studied right now. So I just wanted to say to everyone, again, happy Mother's Day to all the moms on. And then the purpose of this whole series was just to inform us, to empower us, give us the information ourselves so that we would know what to do. So we need to continue to practice those safe practices to keep us and those around us safe. Okay, so let's continue to do that. And with that, I do want to say it's been great. I love how everyone interacted and all, and I appreciate the audience. Now, at this point, really, that's it for my presentation. I wanted to wrap it up with a nice bow, and just to tell you, now there are really a lot of testing going on. The vaccines are coming. Yeah, they're coming faster than normal, but I keep a safe practice because it's going to be a while, if that makes sense, okay? So with that, I'm going to ask my wife, Sister Tanya Sandridge, if there are any questions.
Yes.
Okay.
How long does the virus stay in your system? And I have another question that's very similar. It says, how long can someone be asymptomatic without being physically affected by the virus?
Okay, those are two different. Let me go with the first one. How long can the virus stay in your system? So the data, this is how it showed so far, and it took a while to find this out. If a person gets infected today, it takes 2 to 14 days to show symptoms if you are going to show symptoms, right? The average number of days it takes to show symptoms is about 5.7 days. Then the average person that's showing symptoms. The virus can stay in your system for a few weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It can still, the data is showing. In fact, one of the, if you remember one of the slides I showed last time, some people have pink eye that develops, and that pink eye, the virus is actually being shed and can infect others. So they can stay in your bodies for a few weeks, and this is what happens. The virus then, by that time, your immune system has built enough antibodies to actually knock the virus down and then neutralize it, okay? But now you have antibodies in your system, and here's the key thing. Hopefully, two things. You have immunity, and number two, hopefully, you have lifetime immunity. Those questions are key. Now, the one thing is you could have immunity, but the big question is it lifetime, or like you know how some vaccines are, you may need a booster shot because it may not be permanent. So that's how it goes in general. Then the second question was,
how long can someone be asymptomatic without being physically affected by the virus?
How long can someone be asymptomatic without being physically infected? Again, that you are right. It is similar, about, anywhere from 2 to 14 days. And the reason why I differentiated that question is, remember, the data shows 20 to 50%. So this is how it is. Of everyone who will ever get infected by this virus for this whole duration, 20 to 50% of those people may never show symptoms. That's scary. So that's why everybody has to wear a mask, because I may have the virus and feel just fine. You may have the virus and feel just fine. You may be one of those people who show little to nothing. One newscaster, his wife had it, and he had 2 daughters. He told his daughters, don't go in. I will take care of mom. So he took care of his wife, took care of her, took care of her. Then his doctor said, yeah, you should get tested. He was like, he tested positive. He said, I never knew I had it. He said, the most I had, he said, I remember my sense of smell was played with just a little bit. And I remember having a little bitty back pain, but I went to sleep, woke up the next day, I was fine. So I never would have known I had it. So that's very important. Okay.
Okay, there's a suggestion that if you drink hot beverage to fight the coronavirus, is that effective? And if it does help, how?
So hot beverages, we dealt with this: hot water, hot beverages, steam, and all of this. If the virus has affected you, if it's gotten in to your throat tissue and all of this stuff, beverages, hot beverages, and all of that stuff will not stop. It doesn't work like that. That won't stop it. So the best thing is don't get infected by the virus at first. So do everything you need to do to not do that. Right now, in general, we also mentioned that those things like steam and all of that stuff. It helps with your health. It helps with allergies. It helps with all of those things. So in general, people who do things like that tend to stay pretty healthy and try to help their bodies out in many ways anyway. So, but once the virus is in and it gets into the tissues where it's trying to affect it, So they usually do a nose swab. You all have seen that, right? So we know what can happen over time. They can, after the course of the virus has been in a person for a couple of weeks, you can do they watch it by nose swab. So because the virus it attacks tissues there in the back of the throat and then down in the lungs. Once it's down in the lungs, it's going to run its course. And let me say this to you all. The vast majority of people will be fine. They're well over 80-something%, 90. It's actually higher than that who will be fine. What I mean by fine is this. Many people who get it will be super sick, very sick, but not to death. Most people will not. Now it's just that small percent of people who will, they're hanging in the balance, okay? But by far, most people will do okay. You just don't want to find out which one you are. That's the whole issue, okay?
Next question. Mm-hmm. Should someone go to work even though they wear a mask?
Should someone go to work even if they wear...
Should you still be working even though you're wearing a mask?
I'm not sure how that question goes. Should you still be working if you're wearing a mask? If you have to go to work, let me say this. If you have to go to work, you should be wearing a mask, okay? Now, I don't know if you're talking, if a person has the virus and they know it, should they go to work with a mask? If that's what you're saying, if you are still positive, you should stay home. Okay, and your job should tell you the same. There's no protocol to handle a known positive person and support them going to work. I don't care if they have on a mask and everything else, so they should be allowed to stay home. That's usually let me say this. That's what should happen. Okay.
Okay. Where do people go to get the coronavirus antibody test?
Where do you go get the coronavirus antibody test? The Illinois Department of Public Health website. They have a lot of testing sites now. So all around, you can even call your doctor. It's a lot more available now. The good thing about it is the early antibody tests were not real good. So here's the problem. Let me explain this to you. The early tests went like this. You could test a person, and then the early antibody tests, they were built so fast and with such low quality because these companies were just trying to make money. And what would happen is you test the person, and then it may come back positive. Oh yeah, you have antibodies. Oh, good, good. Then you may say, all right, good. Then I'm going back to work. I have protection. I'm good. But what was found out is many of those tests were giving a lot of false positives. Make sense? And what the problem with that is that it makes you feel like, hey, I'm protected. Then you go out there to work and you get absolutely destroyed getting the virus for real, going, man, I thought I was okay. Well, the big boys are out now. Several other real high quality companies are out now. There's a group of them, and the testing is way, way, way better now. So this is a good time. And listen, I meant to say this before. When you go get a test, before you go, ask them, what company's test are you using? You can say, are you using a little cartridge? You just ask them, because some tests, they have little cartridges that look like, I don't know, little boxes or something like that. Those are the ones you want to stay away from. So you ask them, and the antibody tests that you're giving, that you can ask two questions. Are they little cartridges? If so, just stay away from it. Number two, do they give a lot of false positives? Write that down. Do they give a lot of false positives? If the answer is yes, don't go. Call the next place and let them tell you, no, we have a really high quality test that does not do that. Then that's where you go. I want you to be armed with that, okay? You may not understand all the science behind it, but just write that down. Do your test give a lot of false positives? And if the answer is yes, do not go. Call the next place. Okay?
Okay, next question. Are blood clots in young people caused by antibodies? If so, is that true? Can you please clarify?
Oh, I'm not sure if I follow the question. Are blood clots in young people, and when I say young, is relatively 30s and 40s, caused by antibodies?
Okay, let me reread that. I heard that blood clots in young people are caused by antibodies. Is that true?
No. So the blood clots that are occurring in people from this virus, it is not caused by the antibodies. The virus turns on the clotting machine. Somehow, they still don't know really how, but it turns on how when you cut yourself normally, then your blood can clot. That's normal. That's fine. It should. Otherwise, you'll keep bleeding, right? Well, the virus somehow turns on that machinery on the inside of the bodies, and boy, it's not a pretty picture. This is where strokes and everything are coming from. So, yeah, they're still trying to figure out how and why that's happening.
Okay, a clarification to that question about going to work and wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm.
It says, should you go to work and they are sick?
Should you go to work and your coworkers are sick, meaning have the virus? Because, here's the problem, where especially this time of year, some people have allergies, right? And you'll see them sneezing and, oh, I feel terrible. And you're like, uh-oh, what's going on here, right? This is why you wear the mask, and they should wear the mask, because more than likely it's going to be an allergy around this time of year. But do you have a test with you to find out for sure? I sure don't. So this is what I'm going to do. It's best for a person to stay home to get checked to make sure they have an allergy. This is things that you should be able to take to your leadership, to your bosses and all, and say, hey, these people are coming in, man, they're sniffing, they're coughing, they're sneezing, but everybody should wear a mask because it prevents, you remember on the slide I showed, it prevents the spread of the sneeze across, but if they're sick, they should stay home and make sure they're okay.
Next question. Can you catch the coronavirus if it's raining outside with a mask on?
Can you catch coronavirus if it is raining outside and you have a mask. And I'm assuming you're standing next to people who have, if they're infected, right? Well, the mask can create a barrier for the sick person. Say if I have it, and and I have a mask on, it can create a barrier because, hey, the data shows it, just even by talking with someone, they can spread. Remember that choir rehearsal a couple months ago? They're singing, and whoever was sick, they were just singing and spreading it. And a lot of over 40 people became positive. So the rain can help, knock some of the mist down if a person sneezes or whatever. Here's what I say to that, though. Don't want to take any chances, right? So everybody wear your mask. And if anybody's being honest, they can't give you 100% answer on that question. So we'll just stay as use all the precautions
Okay.
And it is a time check here. It's 6:30, and we'll stay for a little bit longer, so I won't overstay the welcome. I know it's Mother's Day. If it's Father's Day, we can stay for an hour, right? But it's Mother's Day, so 6:40.
What is having immunity to COVID-19? Does it just mean having a good, strong immune system? If so, do you have any suggestions on what precautions can be taken to help boost your immune system?
You want to keep your immune system boosted anyway. Here you go. You want to know what to do to keep your immune system? There's a lot of people selling a lot of stuff out there. Here's an immune booster. No. Don't get caught up in people's products. 1, eat a healthy diet. Your body is built. God has built our bodies. If we eat veggies and everything, here's why we say that. In veggies are vitamins. Do people really know what vitamins are? Yeah, I know what vitamins are. They're B and A. No, I don't want you to. I'm not talking about the letters. Vitamins do this. You have certain chemistry in your body. Enzymes, for example, that help you do work and help you to stay healthy. Vitamins actually work with those enzymes and those different chemicals in your bodies to help them be able to do what they need to do. If you eat a balanced diet, number 1, exercise is an immune booster. You want to know what an immune booster is? Exercise. Now, how many people want to boost their immune system, right? Eating well, exercise. Here's the third one, proper rest. Data straightly shows if you are fatigued for too long, your immune system takes a hit. So do those basic things very well, immune system boosters. And so that's what you can do. And then practice all your precautions, your gloves, the washing, and the mask in addition to that. And, there you go. I think what you want to be able to say is, I've done everything I'm supposed to do.
Okay, last 2 questions.
Okay, last 2 questions.
What is the cost of testing?
I've heard I don't know the exact cost because of the question is, what's the cost of testing? I don't know the exact cost because it's so different everywhere. And if you have insurance, that's going to help. And there are some free places. Okay, so especially in Chicago, Mayor Lightfoot has started some programs and everything, and they're providing a lot of free testing. So absolutely look that up on the City of Chicago and the Illinois Department of Public Health. There's a lot more out there than what people think in terms of free or low cost.
Okay, and last question. Can you be infected by a child who tested negative for coronavirus?
Can you be infected by a child who tested negative for coronavirus? Infected with corona, I'm assuming? If you're saying, can you be infected with corona from a child who's tested negative? So let me say this first of all. You can be infected by a child who tests positive. We know that, right? This is the problem with children. Most of them show nothing. Most children are ready to jump rope and play on monkey bars. They can be super hot for the virus. Most of them show nothing. So absolutely, this is why you keep the children away from grandma and grandpa and you go on the visit and all, because boy, they can absolutely do it. Number 2, remember what I said about testing, right? This is why you want to keep, this is why they're saying children who are 3 years old and older, they wear masks also. No test on out there is 100% perfect every time it tests, right? A child could test negative, and in most cases, by far, when I say most, I mean most tests, like the big manufacturers, that do it. Most tests going to be, literally 99% accurate. You always have a little chance that a test could be off, and they test the child. And okay, so this is why you keep all the precautions in place. This is why you do it. But if they're truly negative, of course, no, there's no way to get the virus from that child. And like I said, the more recent big company tests that are out there, they're very accurate. So,
okay, you know what? One more clarification to the question with the mask being wet.
Okay, mask
being wet. If the
mask
mask gets wet while raining, is it still effective?
Yeah, there you go. If the mask gets wet while raining, is it still effective? No, it has some effectivity, but it's going to lose it. So you're going to have to change it. If it gets really wet, especially these surgical masks or your other ones, if they're wet, they're going to really lose some of their ability to hold things back, and they may sag and they not fit. Here's what's happening: they may not fit your face correctly and all of this stuff. So yeah, you don't want to do it. But if that's all you have, that's better than nothing until you can get home or wherever and get another one. Okay, is that it?
There are two more questions.
There are two more questions, and what time is it?
6:37.
Okay, we got 3 more minutes. Come on.
Okay, is the health department supposed to call you after 14 days after the virus to, I guess, give you the...
Okay, if you tested positive, I'm assuming, right? So whoever sent this question, and I'm assuming the question is about the health department, are they supposed to call you in 14 days? I believe you're saying if you tested positive, and then, is that right?
After the virus, right?
Yeah, so if you tested positive for the virus, then you, not just the health department, wherever you got tested, are they supposed to call you 14 days after? So the real protocol, and they don't do this most of the cases because, when enough tests going around, the real protocol says this: I get tested today, I'm positive. And then they'll wait 14 days. Then what will they supposed to do? They're supposed to then go, we need to test him again. This is what the protocol says. He needs 3 consecutive days of no fever and 2 consecutive tests of negative. So after 14 days, they test me on day 15, no fever, 16, no fever, 17, no fever. Then along that way, after day 14, they test me for the virus, negative. A couple days later, they test me for the virus, negative. Then I'm good. That's what they're supposed to do, but in most cases I've seen, they have not been doing that. So what they have been doing is they will, in some cases, retest the person, or they'll go, all right, yeah, you've been symptom free long enough. Stay home for another week, and then you can go. The good thing the data shows is that just when symptoms happen, about 3 weeks after symptoms, by far, most people have a very nice amount of antibodies and things are in good shape. However, nothing helps like a good test that says negative, right? But I'm just giving you how it really is, okay?
Okay, last question.
Last question.
It states this: they heard that people with severe cases of vitamin D deficiency. Is that true? That the virus is more prone for people that's vitamin D deficient? Vitamin D deficiency.
So let me say this really quickly, and then we'll get to and this is the last question, so I'll just say this, Lord willing, this is the last question. Vitamin D is to the body. You remember how people go, oh, like aspirin. That's when they first discovered aspirin. They came from white willow bark tree. when they first discovered that, they were like, oh man, that's like aspirin, right? So it became the gold standard because it did so many things, right? Well, vitamin D, turns out vitamin D does so many important things in our body, right? There are so many, I won't go into it, just so many positive things. In general, without vitamin D, you're going to take a huge health hit, okay? You need vitamin D. So this is how vitamin D goes. In the winter, in the northern states, like where we live, and the darker your skin is, because we developed a vitamin D test at my company, and we did a huge study showing, we tested people in Florida, we tested people way up north in the East Coast and the West Coast, and boy, the northern states and the darker your skin, because as you know, cholesterol is converted to vitamin D when UV light hits the skin. It goes to some really cool chemical processes, and then to the kidney to finally become vitamin D. Well, the darker your skin, the less the UV light had effect. So people in the wintertime have very low vitamin D, and the darker your skin, even lower. So there's nothing wrong with taking a good vitamin D supplement. Now, a vitamin D, the data did not pop as they thought it would in terms of vitamin D. It's more of an association, not a cause. Okay, so this is how it goes. In general, vitamin D is a very good thing. It doesn't show that, oh boy, you're in peril if it's low versus those who have it high. But in general, for good health, just like the steam question, vitamin D is a good thing. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all so much. I really appreciate. Thank you for being a great audience, and I hope this has helped. Any questions in the future, feel free to reach out. Thank God for our pastor, Elder Ricky Dukes, who allows us to offer such services as this in the name of the church, and we thank God for that. And we pray that this is helpful. And God bless you. Happy Mother's Day again. Take care, everyone.